Get higher, baby. Get higher, baby. Get higher, girl. Hey.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pageless Library. I am Bo Knight, and with me, as always, is Ryan Knight. And today we are looking at Interview with a Robot. It's with a robot, right? Or with the robot.
The robot.
That's right. I remember we were talking about it, and I couldn't remember
Yeah,
which way.
interview with the robot.
Which is an Audible original.
Written by Lee Bacon and narrated by a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, that's right.
So before we dive into this, we'll just go ahead and remind people, we're still waiting on our first email. And you could send us that at kotpl.pod@gmail.com. Tweet at us at Pageless Library. You can go over YouTube, like, comment, subscribe over there, Knights of the Pageless Library. Facebook, Knights of the Pageless Library. Reddit, r/KOTPL. And we now have a Discord channel set up, so if anybody wanted that, just email me and I will send you the link to join our Discord channel.
Which that would be super cool if you did. I mean, me and Ryan are kind of new to Discord, but it seems like the perfect place if you guys ever really wanted to sit down and chat with us.
Yeah,
really
which
cool.
would be pretty cool because it'll, I already opened up a chat room and everything, so if you want to join, just let me know and I can email you the current link to join.
So, as I already said, this is an Audible original, so it's only available on Audible as far as I understand, right? There's not another way to get these, is there?
I don't think so. I'm assuming since they're this was part of the Audible originals for January. So
Which actually you can still get until Friday, right?
Yeah, you should be able to still get them until Friday, the 7th of February.
Yeah. So the author, I don't know. I don't really know. I've never heard anything else by him. He's pretty well known for children's books, and he writes he has a couple pretty well received series that I've never listened to.
Right. Yeah, I had never heard of him until this point, but it seems like most of his stuff is kids and teenager based books.
Yeah, and this book just came out not very long ago. And yeah, so the narration it's kind of a dramatization, but not necessarily. There's no extra sounds, but each character is voiced with a different person.
Right. There is a little bit, but I would say it's not necessarily a dramatization in terms of it's not like you're listening to a movie, essentially. There's just, like you said, each character is voiced by somebody different in order to kind of fill out the cast of characters, basically, is all.
And if you guys had listened to our episode about Airborne, which is also a really good book, by the way, that it's done in pretty much the same way. That's how it is. Everybody has their own voice.
Correct. Yeah.
Which I really like, actually.
Yeah, I really appreciate that too. This doesn't suffer from what I think most dramatizations suffer from, though, in terms of they do a good job of reminding you who's talking each time. So they do a good job of stating the name of who they're talking to before they start talking or something like that.
And there's not that many characters.
Correct.
So you don't really get lost.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's pretty short. It's only
3 hours.
3 hours.
42 minutes.
So yeah, it's a nice little quick listen if you want to.
It's not super long. This is actually categorized as kids and sci-fi fantasy. So this is apparently a children's book, I guess.
You didn't realize that?
I mean, yes and no, I would say. I mean,
we'll get into it a little bit more later, but I have something to say about that, but it's not a bad thing.
So like we said, this book is free if you get it while it's part of the Audible Originals for January. If not, this would cost you $6. So,
I mean, it's not even that bad if you wanted to buy it.
No, I think that's a fair price for a 4-hour book, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there's a few other books that we've reviewed on here that were around that same, 4 to 6 hours, and they were looking at like $15 to $20, and I think that's too
Yeah, that's way too much in my opinion.
right.
So I would say this is really easy listening. I don't know. What do you say, Ryan?
Yeah, I thought it was very, very easy to listen to, even if you kind of were doing something else where you kind of needed to, be paying attention to something else, and then you might miss something in the book. I never found myself having to skip back and try to figure out what was going on.
So do you want to jump right into the recommendations?
Yeah, let's do that real quick. What do you think?
I think like it's good, but like you need to go into it knowing that it's kind of for kids.
Sure.
Because I enjoyed it, I really did, but like there are just some things that like me as a listener that I don't like repeating obvious things like over and over again kind of gets annoying.
Right.
But like once I took a step back and was like, yeah, this is for kids, like it's not supposed to be that complicated. I kind of grew to enjoy it more because when I first started listening, I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna like this at all. But then I kind of like warmed up to it, and I mean the characters are really likable, and so I think it's pretty good.
I liked it. I actually did like it, and I would actually recommend it too, especially if you can snatch it up for free real quick, in the next week. I would definitely recommend doing that. I think it's worth a listen. I don't think that the 3 hours and 45 minutes is, it's not too long to listen to by any means. I also thought that the surprise twist towards the end was actually pretty good. So, I mean, and we'll get into that after the spoilers, but yeah, I would recommend this one for sure as far as, yeah, I mean, it directed at younger audience for sure, but I thought it was entertaining.
It is entertaining. It is.
Yeah, definitely. I think worth it for sure.
So do you just want to go past the spoiler wall?
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the story now. So if you don't want the story spoiled, go listen to it and then come back and hear what we have to say about the story.
Yeah. So this interview with the robot, right?
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
Shoot.
That's what it says.
So like this book is there's like a cop and she's just interviewing this about 12-year old girl, 12-year age girl, and she's just kind of telling you about like her life. And I mean, but they reveal almost immediately that she's a robot. Like she's super open about it.
Right.
Which I thought was a little strange. I know she kind of
too.
like explains it, but like even her reasoning makes no sense. And like, okay, it's like this is why like I was like kind of annoyed in the beginning. It's like because none of this makes any sense. Like I don't understand why the cop is like willing to listen to her instead of like just detaining her because she's a robot. Like, I don't know. That made no sense to me. I don't know.
Cause story, man.
Yeah, you're right. But so yeah, this book is about Eve is her name, and we kind of, I mean, it's also about her brother. What's his name? Emery.
Yep, Emery, and
David or Dad or
yeah,
their dad. Ugh,
yeah.
Never mind. Spoilers.
Yeah, David Emery's dead, as far as we know in the beginning.
So we kind of like follow Eve, kind of her transition from being like this cube. She was like a box, and then like her full transition into like being a walking, talking, functioning girl. Which is it's actually really compelling, I think, like that. Like the
I
kind
thought
of
it was too.
like jumping around because you get like things from Emery's perspective sometimes, and then sometimes you get things from Eve's perspective. And it's all pretty interesting, especially like her kind of growth. And I like when she's voiced when she's like a moron robot, and she like
Right.
doesn't really understand like human cues and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's really well done.
The gal who did her voice did a really good job of doing the robot no emotions voice and then transitioning into a more emotional, girl.
And it was kind of like it wasn't like one scene she's like this and one scene she's different. Like it was kind of like a slow transition, like really would have been.
Right.
Which I think was well done.
Although, from a writing perspective, not that I know anything about writing, but in my opinion, the speed at which she already had emotions for a robot was a little fast.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like her being disappointed that she was given a sweater as a robot, it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, I get it. They're going for realism as far as the way they designed her, but
I have a lot of the issues I have with the story are like the fact that she's so human.
sure,
Like she doesn't really even like at a certain point she stops acting like a robot at all.
completely, yeah.
I
That's
mean, she talks about like that she can do like tons of calculations in her head, like blah blah blah, all this stuff, but it doesn't really pertain that she's a
right.
robot. It doesn't really matter.
I kept, and this is a very unfair comparison, but I kept comparing this to the movie Ex Machina.
Yeah,
I mean, whereas that's the same plot line essentially is this guy is designing a ultra hyper realistic robot that he is basically making into a person. But at the end of the day, she's still a robot. Like she knows that.
which I have I have an issue too with the police lady treating her like she's a person.
Right.
It
Yeah.
just doesn't. It didn't make any sense to me.
No, and I agree too, and I get it. You know, it's just it's entertaining. It's for the story, you know, and it's for younger kids, like we said. So we can't harp on it too much because yeah, it has to have some. Otherwise, I mean, you could easily turn this 4-hour book into a freaking 40-hour book. You know,
You
going
could.
through all that stuff.
You could.
Um,
And so yeah.
so through the whole story, we're kind of bouncing back and forth between the interview, and then we bounce back to the laboratory where Eve was created, where Emery and David are basically continuously kind of upgrading her and putting her through tests to help her learn, help her algorithms learn, basically to become a human. That's essentially what the goal is for her to become a human. And so we kind of find out like why she is with the police. It's because she was running from someone, but we don't really find out right away who she's running from. It's kind of eluding the point.
Right. But we find out that David has like because he's like super driven. Like there are a bunch of scenes like him kind of like yelling at his workers to like work harder, do better, because these things about the AI have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And then he talks to Eve and he tells him about the time like he lost his wife because like he was driving a self-driving car, but he decided to take over and he ended up crashing and killing his wife.
Right. So basically the whole story is kind of Eve's progression from a cube up to, you know, she gets moved into a 12-year-old girl body, and then slowly they're trying to acclimate her into being a person.
Right.
And then Eve and Emery sneak into this completely off-limits room in the compound that they are in. And then surprise plot twist, which I actually really liked. And my mouth fell open when it happened, actually. So we find out that not only did David lose his wife, he lost his family, which was his wife and a boy and a girl that were twins. And we find out this whole time, Emery has also been a robot.
Which I was not expecting at all.
I
was like,
wasn't
what?
either. That's what I'm saying. That twist was actually really good. That's why I said my mouth fell open. I was like, what? Wait, what? Emery's a robot too? But Emery was a robot. He was the first one that David did, and he has already completely gone through all the steps, and he basically is a normal 12-year-old kid.
Right.
And the goal is then to create Eve, who was going to be, that's his twin sister, and then they were going to recreate his wife as well. So he was going to recreate his whole family that he lost in this car crash, so that he could have his family back again. And he says that with putting into their memory pictures and videos and all these things, they will basically assume the same position in life that his family was at when they died, and their life could go on as if nothing ever happened.
Right. And so Eve freaks out and escapes the facility.
Right, because now all of a sudden she finds out she has superpowers.
Yeah.
she can talk to other robotic things. So now none of the security stuff works on her because she's just like, "Hey, door, let me through," and the door's like, "Okay," and like lets her go. I didn't really like that part.
Well, I didn't like either that like she's like talking about like like the conditions she was in, and it's like, oh, this is really horrible for a person. It's like, yeah, but you're not a person. You're a robot. Like I
Right.
don't like he wasn't abusing you.
No,
You're
not
a
at all.
thing.
Yeah, she was actually being treated very, very, very
Yeah.
well.
And yeah, I didn't really understand like the freak out thing. I didn't really make sense to me. Like I understand it's shocking Emery not being not being just some guy, but also another robot like you. But I didn't like her running away. I don't know. It just kind of seemed kind of weird to me. Like
So
he wasn't really like forcing her to do anything.
no, the only part she freaked out over is because he said he's going to integrate her memory and then he's going to erase all this stuff that she learned.
Oh, right.
So she won't remember any of this. But I was like, I mean, so at this point, she's running. So we find out this is why she's with the cops, because she ran and the cops picked her up because she was stealing stuff. And
Well, but she purposely got caught.
right, she got caught on purpose because David and his security guards are still chasing her, trying to get her back to the lab. And actually, it was at this point, I mean, I don't think this was the intention, but I kind of started to side with David, and I started feeling bad for him. I was like, dude, like this guy, like I feel horrible for this guy. He lost his whole family, and he's trying to recreate them so he can have his family back. And now literally Eve, who's supposed to be his daughter, which he's been treating like a daughter this whole time, mind you, she's just like, no, I don't want anything to do with that. I was like, oh man, that's kind of a bummer.
It is kind of a bummer. I felt bad for him.
I did too. They're trying to make him seem like he's a monster, and I was like, he's kind of the opposite of a monster. Like,
well, and like you own a robot. It's your thing.
Right, and he built it, spent millions and millions and millions of dollars to do this so he could have his family back, and now his family's essentially like revolting against him. Because he basically turns off Emery, and Emery is like on his side, but then somehow Eve like reprograms Emery, so now they're both against David. And then to kind of sum it all up, Eve basically tells this cop lady at the interview what's going on. She spills all of it to her. So then Eve knows David is going to catch up to her anyways. Well, they let David catch up to her, and then the cops arrest David, which I was kind of like, what grounds do they have to arrest him? Like
the whole like the cop being on the robot side just didn't make any sense to me.
It'd be like if your Roomba went out the front door and you ran out there to grab your Roomba, and the cops were like, "Whoa, get on the ground! You better not touch that robot."
They just tase you, and you're like, "What the fuck? My Roomba ran away."
That's my Roomba. He's supposed to be in there vacuuming. He got out the front door.
It's your like Roomba's with us now.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Your Roomba has feelings too.
Yeah. It's like,
no, he's just
what?
Just he missed he's supposed to turn here and he didn't.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, like that. Like her. I didn't really buy. I know this is a child's book, and that is. I do like it for that, but like if you're looking at it critically, it doesn't really make any sense.
Right.
Like the cop trusts her almost immediately.
Oh yeah, like immediately. Where, like you said, she shows the spot in her arm where she ripped her tracker out, and inside is not like muscle and flesh and meat. It's robot stuff, and the cop's just like, whoa, that's weird. Okay, let's keep talking.
I feel like what would happen. The cop would have been like, "Oh, hang on a second," and she would have went outside, talked to her superior. Freaking FBI agents would have came in and taken her away.
Right?
Like I don't understand why the cop feels the need to protect this random thing. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, story and so on. I get that part, but yeah,
right.
And there was a lot of reviews saying there's a lot of plot holes in this, which we're not going to harp on too much. It's aimed at kids. It's very short. I mean, I'm not going to harp on because we could pick it apart if we want to, but I don't want to because I actually think it's pretty good. So.
I think it's totally worth your time.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm trying to think of anything else I have to say.
I don't actually have a whole lot else to say about it. I thought it was well done, even if the story had some weird parts to it. I kind of liked the concept. The only thing I didn't like about it is that I started to feel bad for the, for the bad guy. I really thought he didn't do anything wrong. So
very easily you could turn this story around about like, where's my robot?
right.
like seriously, like I don't know, because he wasn't really a bad guy.
No, I mean, and like I said, I started to feel bad for him. I was like, wow, he's trying to literally rebuild his family, and he got arrested for it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's crazy.
Poor guy, he lost everything.
Yeah. So yeah, I think with that, we could wrap this one up. Unless you have anything else to go with, talk about on this one.
I said my piece.
Yeah, I'm good too. So what are we going to try to do next time?
I think are we gonna do Junkyard Cats next?
Yeah, I think we should go ahead and just do the Junkyard Cats next. That is another Audible original. We'll just say that now, so if anybody wants to go ahead and pick that up and listen to it before we get to it, you could do that, because by the time we release the episode, it might be after you'd be able to get it. So
yeah, or you could not also.
Whoa, man, whoa, spoilers.
I didn't say anything.
But yeah, so we're gonna talk about Junkyard Cats next, most likely, and then yeah, so I would say we hope to catch everyone in that episode.
Yeah, but before we leave, you guys got to send us an email, please.
Yeah, seriously.
At kotpl.pod@gmail.com. Please. It could say anything, and it would make our day.
It really would. And yeah, like I said, I got the Discord all set up, so if somebody wants to join that, just email me and ask me, and I will send you a link that will let you join us on Discord, and that is... For anybody who doesn't know, that is basically you can come and it's just a live chat room where anybody can kind of come talk to us, but it's specifically invite only. Somebody can't just randomly come in and...
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, it's invite only. So it's like my chat room. I'm the boss. You can only get in through me. I'm the gatekeeper. So, but yeah, so... That'd be cool, though, if people started coming over there and actually talking to us. We'd love to start some conversations about anything.
Really neat.
So...
No, I think we're good now.
Yeah, I'm good. Interview with the robot, not a robot. If you look for
robot, it's
with a robot, yeah,
even though there's multiple robots in the story.
True. Yeah.
We'll catch you guys in the next one.